Hi everyone, my name's Haley Rossitano,
I'm Camille Frace.
I'm Nick Baggett.
And I'm Casey Daly.
and we did our project about how to increase innovation through teamwork in various professions. So we wanted to, for the sake of this project, we wanted to explore professions we were all interested in. So some of these are majors while others are interests or even a career we desire to have later in life. Through our time in this course, as well as the research we've done, we're able to recognize how much these professions around the world utilize and rely on teamwork and collaboration for job-related tasks, and we wanted to see what that looked like in marketing, engineering, city and regional planning, as well as digital and performing arts.
And the problem we wanted to address through this project was the tendency for people to reach a creative roadblock. And so to do that, we wanted to research ways to increase innovation within the different professions that we talked about on the last slide. And the reason why we chose different professions was to make our findings more generalizable to a lot of fields. And again, the areas we touched on were business and marketing, engineering, city planning, and the arts.
So who does this apply to? The information provided in this presentation is really applicable to anyone working in a team, especially those teams whose work primarily involves innovation. So this could apply to students in various team project settings, startups, which often revolve around their creativity, and teams looking to boost their teamwork and communications.
So there are a couple of different benefits that come from working with creativity and innovation. Some of them include promoting critical thinking and problem solving, leading to feelings of accomplishment, connecting with your surrounding community, promoting a sense of freedom, helping to celebrate uniqueness and differences, bringing new perspectives to the table, and also opening doorways to more innovative ideas.
So, as far as how teamwork operates in the business marketing world, or any job in the tech industry, really, it consists a lot of a lot of trial and error. Because this profession requires a lot of adapting and adjusting, it's crucial that everyone on a project team is on the same page at all times. These decisions can rarely be made by one person since marketing affects so many other parts of a company or business. Innovation, on the other hand, can range from learning how to manage or take on a new role, or finding new ways to address problems or coming up with solutions to help the overall goal of the marketing team. There's also usually a team leader or marketing coordinator that oversees the rest of the team to make sure they're on track and consistent with the overall goal.
So within engineering, there are many possible fields that could display certain traits for innovation. For the purposes of this presentation, we will be referring to software engineering teams. These teams usually consist of roughly 10 people who focus on a single project within the company. Usually software companies will have R&D teams whose sole purpose is products, whether it be inventing new software or thinking of new ways to use existing software. And these teams are often led by project managers or lead engineers as well.
So within city and regional planning, teamwork incorporates various interactions that planners have with federal, state, and local public agencies most of the time. And all of these different interactions have varying degrees of responsibilities, missions, and authorities. And they all are what makes teamwork skills vital to city planning profession. Planners need to be prepared to communicate with the public, developers, elected officials, and other professionals on a day-to-day basis. So communication skills are key in making sure that the important points are made and are understood by everyone involved. Planners often face challenges because in order to stay team players, they have to maintain trust with the people in the organizations that they work with. And if there's no trust within the team environment, the changes that need to be made will take longer and also might not be as effective in the end. Planners, citizens, and elected officials all have distinct roles through a collaborative process in where they make decisions together. And this is a very important part of city planning. The rational planning process is widely used and it's effective for team processes. Innovation in the field involves new ways of approaching issues involving the built environment. And this can include new processes, institutions, thinking outside of the box of what they learned in their formal education, and invention of new roles, and also experimental practices such as interdisciplinary teams, community outreach, and creating alternatives are how planning is constantly being reinvented. Lastly, joint learning changes how people accept ideas and attitudes, which produces innovative approaches to city planning, ultimately making the practice much more effective.
So for art, since there are so many different fields, we focused on digital and performing art. And in digital art, teamwork usually involves collaboration between designers, which can include peer reviews and critiques. But digital artists also are very multidisciplined and work with many different fields. Like in film design, they usually work with directors as concept artists, and they can also work with programmers as app designers for UI UX. But at the end of the day, most digital artists work independently for clients, and they don't tend to collaborate with other artists very frequently. In performing arts, performers usually have a leader, like a section leader in an ensemble, or a conductor in a symphony, or maybe even a director in a theater production. And the leader is usually the one that facilitates creative direction. The kind of unique group in performing arts is jazz, because jazz ensembles promote a lot of creativity through innovation and improvising. So usually different members of the group improvise one by one, and then the other members supplement them by what's called comping, which is where those not currently soloing accompany those that are soloing. And to take a deeper look into digital and performing arts, we looked at a study conducted by William Roos and Rebecca Roos. And can you switch the slide, please? Thank you. Just to looking at the nature of teamwork in performing arts and how that can be related to business and operational teamwork. So in their study, they made sure to emphasize that teamwork is not equal to task work, which means that work is best done when it is in a collaborative product rather than the sum of individual effort. So in their study, they interviewed 12 leaders in the art field from many different fields like dance, jazz, orchestra, ballet, and theater about teamwork in their field. And they looked at the mechanisms adopted for assuring teamwork and how they vary considerably based on the nature of the art form. For example, jazz ensembles promote improvisation while symphonic bands have strict rules. And they also mentioned their theory of the ecology of performance for different performers, meaning that musicians might have a director or jazz ensembles might have a section leader, and that this ecology can be applied to other groups as well. Their results seem to indicate that large management teams would gain more insights by studying a symphonic band rather than a jazz ensemble due to the structure of having a leader and then section leaders. But startups would benefit from looking at jazz ensembles because more team ecology is enforced and there's more group task work to be considered. However, results from the study are still pretty speculative, and since it was just interviewing art leaders, they don't really have any conclusive research, so more research needs to be done in this subject before any conclusions can be made.
All right, so before we get into the research we found about the different workplace practices that can increase creativity and innovation, we wanted to provide some definitions for the various terms we'll be using. So productivity will refer to an assessment of the efficiency of a worker or group of workers and can be evaluated in terms of the output of an employee during a specific period of time. Creativity is the processes of using ideas and imagination to produce an end goal or outcome. Innovation would be the creation, development, or implementation of a new product, process, or service within the internal infrastructure of an organization. Communication would just be exchanging information. This is vital to an effective teamwork process. Collaboration would be to work jointly with others or together, especially in an intellectual endeavor. And diversity would be acknowledging, understanding, accepting, and valuing differences among people with respect to ethnicity, gender, and race. So through our research, we found that these very different fields have more similarities than originally suspected, and decided to focus on how improving communication, collaboration, and diversity in each of these fields can in turn increase creativity and innovation.
So, given many of these fields require some type of leader within a group, it is crucial to understand how communication can make or break a team environment. In marketing, results show that creativity in regards to new idea generation can be enhanced when leaders differentiate their relationships with their followers based on their knowledge, skills, and abilities, rather than approaching each person the same way. And research has also started to examine the effects of leader-member exchange and how this can have an impact on employee performance and creativity. LMX can be defined as the differences in the interpersonal relationships that are formed between leaders and the employees they manage. And in an empirical study, it was conducted in China, it was found that different leadership and communication styles were examined to discover which approach had the most positive effect on employee productivity and creativity. Although many believe that the correct approach is to handle each relationship equally across the board, research shows the importance for leaders to differentiate the way they treat their followers. We expect to find the same pattern of results in the US, given the study examines the relationship between people within a company or organization. When leaders recognize differences in employees' work contributions and adjust tasks where they see it fit, it in turn motivates employees to complete more work-related tasks in a given time period. Also, it was found that LMX differentiation has the potential to boost employee flexibility and energy as it relates to a job-specific task.
In another study, researchers also found a link between communication and innovation in the field of engineering. Because innovation is the purpose of R&D teams in the field of engineering, successful R&D teams mean successful innovation. The study found that R&D teams that had high levels of communication were more likely to receive high performance ratings from their customers. Therefore, high communication levels were a predictor of creativity and innovation among those teams.
In a study about city and regional planning and communication, they found that communicating effectively in this profession is all about trust, especially with the various organizations and people involved. It's also about being a voice for the community and relaying the needs of the public to the governmental side of things. So you have to be able to understand the needs and wants of the people in the public that have a voice, but they lack the platform that they need. And planners also have to be ready to deal with the burning questions from the public in certain situations. So calm, collected communication is key in not causing any type of panic.
And as far as arts goes, in a study conducted by Chang and collaborators, nonverbal communication happens all the time. And the more nonverbal communication a group has, the more expressive and emotional their performance will be as well. And to do the study, they fitted motion trackers on musicians and revealed that the movements of each other predicted the movements of others. So in performing arts, working together as a group and moving with the music and emotionally reacting helps their performance.
Collaboration can appear in many different ways depending on the field, environment, and end goal. So it's important to know what they look like to better understand how to collaborate most effectively. In marketing, collaboration is at the heart of business marketing. In any tech industry or company that relies heavily on marketing their product or service, decisions are rarely made by one individual, which makes teamwork essential in this field. In a study conducted by Carnes, he examines the detrimental effect of being too task-oriented on employees. This study found that the key in any successful workplace relationship is for everyone involved to recognize the importance of engaging and mutually beneficial actions when it feels as though even when it feels as though the relationship is for transactional purposes. Not all human interactions are about who can get the most out of it or what each party can get out of it. In fact, the most powerful relationships are made when two or more people make an active effort to engage with each other. In class, we also learned how teams usually perform better when they collaborate on the entirety of the project rather than using the divide and conquer technique. This also supports the findings of Carnes and shows how we should shift our mindsets about teamwork from viewing it as a transaction and instead think about it as a collaborative effort that both parties should want to be involved in every step of the way.
In one study conducted by the University of Texas on engineering students, it was found that teams who were highly collaborative scored higher on rankings of innovative design plans for their projects.
Collaboration within city and regional planning is seen in a form of planning called rational planning. It's an approach to planning that focuses on setting goals and alternatives while also evaluating and making decisions about the given situation. Collaborators in city planning and also probably other professions, they're willing to participate. They're a part of the team working towards the common goals while sharing their expertise and responsibilities for the outcome.
And in art, artists tend to collaborate all the time. And usually by collaborating, it improves the level of quality of their work. And in music, collaboration is necessary in order to create an ensemble and a musical piece. In film, digital artists work with directors and producers to bring their creative visions to life. And now we're going to talk about the importance of diversity in the workplace before we talk about diversity in each of our fields. So diverse teams are more innovative, and businesses with more culturally diverse leadership were more likely to develop new products than those with homogeneous leadership. Teams that cultivate gender diversity are smarter and more creative, and they help to overcome gender biases. And in a TED Talk by Lorenzo, she surveyed 171 companies in Europe about diversity and found that across the board, more diverse companies are more creative and innovative.
Diversity is a vital part of an effective team. It brings forward new ideas, knowledge, and experiences to help find solutions to problems and increasing creativity and innovation. In marketing, given it relies heavily on the formation of strong teams, it was found that creating diverse teams actually increases the team's overall efficiency and creativity. In a study by Bassett Jones, when organizations welcome a more diverse environment, a plethora of different strengths and weaknesses are brought forward. Researchers from the study have concluded that when various viewpoints, skills, and backgrounds are available to employers and employees alike, there is a potential to build stronger and more efficient and creative teams. Furthermore, when diverse teams are built in the workplace, individuals are able to adjust their behaviors to respond to their teammates' needs. Practicing these patterns of adjustment can yield reduced levels of tension and conflict between individuals, thus making a more enjoyable work environment for everyone.
Another study with regards to diversity, this time in the field of engineering, found a strong link between the two as well. Researchers found that when knowledge comes from varied sources in engineering teams, especially team insiders, team outsiders, and internet professional forums, there was a greater chance that the team was considered proficient at radical creativity.
Diversity is prominent in the planning field because there are so many varying degrees of interactions that planners have with all people who have different backgrounds and opinions, whether it's the public or elected officials and so on. There are many informal networks that help to bring new people like stakeholders, new staff members, and representatives to the table. And differences and diversity in planning are celebrated because they find continuity and commonality in an often fragmented environment.
And in the field of digital art, many different types of artists work together to form a creative whole. They also work with other professions all the time. So teams tend to have more diverse backgrounds, and those backgrounds help to fuel the creative ideas.
So for this portion of our presentation, we thought it would be interesting to discuss some real world examples, the first being tech startups. So over the past year and a half to 2 years, I've worked at an app development startup where I've first-handedly seen how teamwork can either make or break a company from getting off the ground. When people aren't able to work together in an effective or efficient way, it's really hard for anything great to follow. Although it's easy to get overwhelmed with everyone's ideas and how to put all of those ideas into action, when turn taking is implemented, teams tend to be more successful. This can look like having a timekeeper or proctor around to balance the communication. And this is also a prime example because startups typically require a lot more creative power than businesses that have been around for a while. Also, new employees are usually putting more time into their work, which can create more stress. This is why open communication and the welcoming of diverse ideas is crucial in order to stimulate innovation in this space.
A second type of real world example that requires creativity and innovation are small businesses. I don't have any firsthand experience like Haley, but I know that every small business is unique. So there is a vast array of diverse small businesses wherever people go, and there might be a need to stand out among the bigger businesses and competitors that may be in the same vicinity or are in the same category as them in terms of what they might be selling or promoting. Small businesses are often more focused on staying stable in the long run as opposed to big businesses who are more interested in financial and economic gain. So this forces small businesses to be more creative in presenting their business ideas and products in order to stand out. And although small businesses work with smaller teams, it's still crucial for them to have effective communication and collaboration so that all members of the team can stay on the same page. Some examples of small businesses include things like family-owned restaurants, boutiques, freelance graphic designers, and home tutoring. So small businesses rely on creativity and innovation in a bigger sense so they can reach a much wider audience.
Many studies have shown that when teamwork is done effectively, it can lead to work getting done more productively and efficiently. What we have found is that among the many benefits of effective teamwork, innovation can be a byproduct of teams that display good communication, collaboration, and diversity. By reviewing the literature and studies from many fields, we have found some commonalities shown across these fields in regards to their.
Yeah, and in conclusion, these commonalities for communication come in various forms and are all equally important to team processes, especially when dealing with new ideas. Communication is most effective when open communication is encouraged. As far as collaboration is concerned, it's crucial for all fields and backgrounds and leads to more innovative ideas and processes. We must begin to view collaboration as an active effort from both parties instead of looking at it as a transaction. And in diversity, it's needed to bring different ideas, approaches, and experiences together, which makes the creative process much more creative and innovative and gives room for different perspectives and skills. Each one of these fields plays a part and is ultimately needed to increase creativity and innovation in team environments.
And here are references. Thank you for taking the time to listen.
Thank you.